Welcome to the All About You podcast. My name is Sheila and I am your host. In this podcast, I invite people to tell their stories of their travels, hobbies, and passions. These podcasts are also now available on my All About You YouTube channel. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story. Welcome to the All About You podcast. And I'm very happy to say I'm back with Pier and we are continuing our journey around the globe and we are off to Aruba. So Pier, let's go to Aruba.
Yes, Aruba. So after 40 years working around the globe, my retirement started on the 1st of August 2014. 64 years old. Aruba, an island in the Caribbean, where I kept a house for more than 20 years, which I used as a holiday home during my working period overseas. And during those years, I modified that property such that it could serve as my retirement spot. I had a plot next to my house where I had plans for. I modified the garden with an automatic irrigation system. I extended the house. It did a jacuzzi, so it was ready to enter.
Right, so you were all set for retirement in Aruba, okay?
Yes. So it was not long after settling in Aruba that I got a phone call from Shell International. If I could help them out with some issues regards the new CO2 recovery plant for which I worked during my Egypt posting. Wow, so that was another set, getting up late, having coffee, doing the garden, laying on the beach. So I checked my calendar and I had 2 spots free. So there I went to Egypt in October, November for that year, for 6 weeks. And I did another trip after Christmas in January, February 2015. Yeah, they arranged a contract with me, with a contractor company, because I was a retired Shell employee, so I could not work for Shell. So they arranged that. I really loved those 2 trips because I really didn't have any more responsibility. I was there to give advice. I stayed there in Cairo in a luxurious hotel. I was driven to and from the office. And I worked exactly the agreed hours as per contract.
So it was quite a nice little activity, because we can't call it a job, really, can we?
No, it was an activity, and the weekends I had off, the Muslim weekends then. So it was relaxed for me, and some pocket money. Well, back on the island, I really got bored in Aruba. I did my daily routine. I walked every morning on the beautiful beaches there. By the way, the beaches in Aruba are very nice. I think the most beautiful beaches in the world. Every so often I climbed the only mountain on the island. Well, mountain, 165 meters high. But anyway, I climbed that up and down, and I had a beautiful view over the island. However, I missed theater, I missed concerts, museums, culture. Yeah, I know they had the annual jazz festival and the carnival, but Aruba is really a holiday island. 1 week or 2 weeks, that's fine, but not for continuous living. I realized that, and fine, all those years, loved to be back at Aruba for my holiday. I really liked that. But living there 365 days per year was for me difficult. Aruba measures only 32 kilometers long and 10 kilometers across. So you can see it was a very small island.
And I should imagine everybody knows everybody else. because it's so small.
Yeah, and what you see with small islands, that people in the south don't cross with people in the north, although it is a very small island.
But they sort of keep to their own ends of the island as such.
Yes, and you see that with big countries as well, and small countries. Holland is very small. In 2 hours you are from west to east. But if you are in Holland and if you are living there, going all the way to the east, 2 hours drive, that is a huge trip.
That's very interesting, isn't it? Because when we have conversations with Americans, they will drive for sort of 8 hours and they don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Yet a lot of Europeans, 2 hours, 3 hours, that's quite a long trip. So, yeah, that's interesting. Why do some people have that mentality, 8 hours is nothing, and other people, I'm not going to travel 30 kilometres the other side of Ireland. Why would I want to do that? So interesting.
That's very interesting, and I noticed that, for example, when I was living in the States, traveling for 12 hours was normal if you want to go to a natural park or so. And in Russia as well, going on a business trip from Sakhalin to Moscow, what was 13 hours flying, for a few meetings. Yeah, that was normal.
Yeah.
But driving on such a small island, and even in Holland,
it's a big deal. Very strange, very strange.
Okay, Aruba, in 1986 it became a constituent country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. It is amazing how many tourists are coming to Aruba. About 2 million tourists are visiting Aruba per year. And if you looked at, by putting the tourist numbers in relation to the Aruban population, it comes to 19 tourists per resident.
How did the island cope with all these tourists? I mean, they must have been falling off the island and standing in the water.
That is very interesting. I must say most of the tourists are coming from the States. They don't have a lot of holiday, 2 weeks holiday.
No, they don't.
So they want to have a holiday somewhere where all the services are provided. They are on the beach, they can do a boat trip, they can go to the golf course. The surfer has to be there with their beer or whatever. Everything has to be on that plot. And that's why in Aruba, along that coast, you see the low-rise hotels and the high-rise hotels. And every company is there, Hilton, Regency, you name it. And they all have their plot with their tourists in it. And after a week or 2 weeks, normally a week, they return home. So you don't see them so much on the island itself.
Right, they just all stay basically in the zone of the hotel and the zone of the beach, and that's where they don't move.
They don't move.
They arrive, they stay there, and then they go.
Yeah, I must say there are bus trips around the island. But they do the trips, but normally they stay in their resort. Yeah.
So the amount of tourist money coming into Aruba must have been astronomical.
Yeah, the tourism contributes to 91% of the island's GDP.
I should imagine it would.
Yeah, so that was a big thing with the COVID. There were no tourists. So there were 75% unemployment people during the COVID period. It was very bad. Yeah.
So when life is normal, it's a boom for the island with all this money flooding in from the tourists. But then when the situation changes and everything stops, it's just horrendous.
Yes, that is, yeah. I have to tell you about a friend of mine. Well, I've plenty of friends, but...
I should imagine you have after spending all your life travelling around the world.
Yeah, his name is Fred. In the early stage of my travels around the globe, we both sailed with the same company, Ocean Fleets. After that company stopped its business, I started with Shell in 1979, and my first posting was in Oman, Sultanate of Oman in the Middle East. And who did I meet in Oman? Yes, it was Fred, who also joined Shell after his sailing career. But after Oman, we both moved to other Shell postings. But then, years later, during my posting in Egypt, I met Fred again in Cairo during one of the many parties. So, is that coincidence? But there it doesn't stop. We both discovered that we both had properties on Aruba, and our houses were in the same region, only a few minutes drive apart. So that is amazing.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So you bumped into him in 2 different countries, different times, and then you discovered you both had houses in Aruba, very, very close to each other.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I retired in Aruba, he retired in Aruba, and I had a good time with him.
And you're still in contact with Fred now?
Oh yeah. He visited during our wedding last year, and he was trying to visit us here in Valencia, but during the COVID that collapsed, he didn't come. Yeah, we still have good contact.
So you're looking forward to catching up with Fred again?
Yeah. So being bored in Aruba, I prepared myself to move from Aruba. So I gathered information from websites such as Expert Life in Retirement, which gave me a lot of information on retiring in various countries. So I made a list with the pros and the cons of various countries: Costa Rica, Spain, Mexico. I added culture, economics, easiness to travel, and so forth. And then on top of that list, Panama and Costa Rica scored high. Both countries are in Central America. And during my time in Aruba, I visited both countries a couple of times. And yeah, I made a choice. And my choice in the end was Panama. And I bought an apartment in the Panama Canal Zone, in the residential area, which was called Panama Pacifico. At first, I sold my plot of land next to my house in Aruba. I kept my house and I moved to Panama in July 2016. I kept my house in Aruba and I rented it out. And later I kept it empty because renting for me was not a success. Because it was empty, and I moved to Panama in 2016.
So
Yeah.
we are off to Panama next. Right, okay, Panama, here we come. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe on whatever platform you are using. It is free, and if you would like to tell your story, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.